What is up, Orange County?
Oh, yeah. We're back.
Oh, we weren't going to be, but we are.
Made it happen. That's the name of the show.
Yes, we made it happen with Dylan Thompson.
The show's now called We Made It Happen.
Yeah, with DT JG. OC, baby. Oh, hello and welcome to It's Happening Show, community grassroots media for the people, by the people. I'm Jose Gloria.
And I'm Dylan Thompson. We are your hosts tonight.
We are your hosts indeed.
Indeedly do.
Ha, indeed. It's ha.
Ha. You put the happen in the happen.
I put the ha in the happening. It's happening as a culture of empowerment, It's the people. It's the right for people to have. Oh wait, what am I reading?
No, you can do that. You do mine, man.
Dude, I'm so out of it. It's happening is a movement of the heart and of the mind. It's the energy of the universe that creates waves inside us and all around us, which allows us to motivate, elevate, and activate vibrationally and intellectually towards love, truth, justice, and wisdom. It's happening in every which way.
It's Happening is a culture of empowerment. It's people having the right to exist and participate as equals. It's a dream of what the world could be, but the future we want is only possible if we make it happen. So stand up, get informed, and fight back.
Hadouken! Fight back.
Shoryuken. Okay. Fight back.
You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with us, so we thank you because of you.
It's happening. Woo!
Happening.
Happening. It happened again.
It's hackening over here, actually. Hacking.
Oh, I thought you were playing hacky sack.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
The hackening.
You used to totally make it hackening.
Oh man,
hacky sack.
I need to get back into that.
Yeah,
it's good exercise.
Exercise.
Honestly,
no doubt, man.
Wait.
Yeah. So, speaking of exercise, I have done none in several weeks now. No, that's not true. When I went to Sedona, I did climb a whole bunch. So that was pretty much the exercise, all the exercise I plan to do
this year.
Yeah, so for the first 6 months of this
year.
Yeah.
Well, mission accomplished, man. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah.
Drink to that.
Speaking of mission accomplished, so just a few things we're gonna run through real quick. But Trump, came out of the dungeon that he has in Mar-a-Lago, and he blessed us. Or cursed us, actually, with his presence at the CPAC, which, according to his son, should be dubbed TPAC, Trump Political Action Committee, not to be confused with Tupac, which was way better of a POC than the conservatives will ever be able to put together. Anyways,
I don't know. Trump hasn't embarked yet on a rap or hip hop career. So,
maybe that's the future for him. But yeah,
you never know, man.
It was he can do it
could get weirder.
It's like it's as weird as if Trump were to put a rap album together with his sons, like. Yeah, they would buy it.
Yeah, I would be like, I'd see that news. I wouldn't even shrug seeing that news.
Man, I could talk about it a lot of this, but we'll just say that it was everything you would hope or you expect from Trump. Played all the hits, rigged election, build that wall, I won, Neener. Yeah, Neener. But my favorite part was when he literally stood like for 3 minutes while the song like I'm in America, when I'm free. Literally stood there and just with his hands like next,
just dancing a bit. Yeah.
So weird. And just weirder that he could very much be the potential nominee for the Republicans come 2024. He flirted at the idea. It's like, we don't know who it's gonna be, but I think you know who it's gonna be.
We know.
Nudge. But they are in trouble.
Oh yeah, big time. Speaking of people in trouble.
Good segue. I like this.
And what? Andrew Cuomo is in trouble. He's actually just gone into hiding as a result of a couple scandals that came about, including like a sexual assault allegations and allegations that they warped the numbers for COVID because they withheld the numbers from like nursing homes and other kinds of facilities. So he's just like deciding to back out altogether.
Nobody has seen him in days.
Yeah.
He put out an apology today, but people thought that wasn't enough. But needless to say, he has fallen from grace from everybody thinking that he should run for president.
Oh yeah.
To everybody thinking that he should run away. Democratic Party quickly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, ideally. So, but yeah, it's too much, so much.
And more.
Let's not talk about the weather. Let's talk about top stories, shall we?
Top stories. Presented by and funded by Boeing. Okay, wait, what? Sorry, guys.
Brought to you
Sold out.
mysterious drinks in red cups on It's Happening show.
Woo! Oh, yeah. The Texas Attorney General is suing a utility over customers' sky-high energy bills. So you guys remember what happened in Texas with the winter storms that went through there and created this insane demand for electricity. Well, one of these providers in their kind of like anarcho-capitalist energy system they've created is a company called Griddy that basically charges $10 a month to give people a way to pay wholesale prices for electricity instead of a fixed rate. But that kind of backfired when this happened and wholesale prices spiked. Griddy basically forwarded the cost to their customers with bills in the thousands of dollars for the now very scarce and expensive energy that they were buying. So yeah, basically the state has pretty much shut them down already, like taking all of their clients and providing utility through other sources. And the Texas Attorney General is suing them under kind of a deceptive advertising or deceptive trade practices act, saying that it misled its customers on this issue. So, man, I can't complain. So these poor people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a good deal on the show last week, but it's just abhorrent and really commendable, or like, you know, it must be condemned. The things that are that the these utility companies did in a moment where a lot of residents were freezing their tushies off to put it lightly. So yeah, I'm glad that they're doing that, and hopefully they sue the shit out of them. Yeah, and justice is served.
Yeah, please some reform to this system, letting them. And it sounds like they need to regulate a bit more because I don't know. I guess the incentive to prepare for these kinds of things wasn't there. I don't know what else you can say. They need to make some agreements to prepare for these kinds of disasters in the future. And if that takes regulation, I mean, how can we argue with it? I don't know.
Yeah, I just one thing attached to it, and it's a whole other thing, of course, but I just watched The Pharmacist on Netflix, and it talked about, speaking of like needing regulation, how unregulated big pharma was for many years, that allowed for the company like Purdue and others to promote OxyContin and killed a lot of people, and they knew that they were doing it and they didn't care. And then kind of brings back those clips of tobacco executives saying that they did not believe nicotine was addicting. So all to say that the most greediest of corporations, usually the biggest ones being greedy, are gonna do anything that they can to not prepare, because that's not fits their bottom line. They're trying to maximize their income. They're not trying to prepare for some hypothetical thing in where Texas is gonna freeze over. As if you're gonna prepare for like hell freezing over or something.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's a loony. Welcome to the world, according to climate.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
definitely should have seen it coming, I'd say, given that there were some storms in the previous 10 years in Texas, and it seemed like maybe they couldn't have exactly predicted this, but seeing that there have been some changes. Yeah,
no, definitely. I'm just saying it's not like hell freezing over. It's like some hypothetical thing. It's more like they just like the rich people are going to care for poor people when hell freezes over. Would be a better.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah. So in better news, Governor Newsom announced his plan to get kids back in public schools by the end of March, and I couldn't be happier, I tell you, because I happen to room with a public school teacher who is very loud in very mornings. Shout outs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, friend of the show. No, but truly, there's I know a lot of people that with kids are going to be happier than I am because screw me in my sleep. But like these people that have been trapped with their kids for a year now are going to be able to have some respite and maybe be allowed to to just, do other things, and work and have just have outings and stuff, like and especially low income folks that can't afford like or don't have the ability to have daycare, mental health, so many issues that have really taken like just have been really uh, exacerbated through because of this pandemic are is one of the root things is because kids haven't gone to school. And I know it's a right-wing talking point, right? But that like, oh, we got to get our kids back to school, but not if we're not ready to, not if we're not able to protect our teachers and have everything, the PPE in place to prevent just widespread contagion. So according to ABC7, California public schools could tap into $6.6 billion from the legislature if they return to in-person instruction by the end of March. California's most populous state which is the most populous state, has 1,037 public school districts, more than 6.1 million students, and about 319,000 teachers. So yeah, most public schools have not held in-person classes since March of last year because of the coronavirus. Many districts have struggled to reach agreements with teachers unions on the best way to return students and staff to the classroom. Newsom, who could face a recall later this year, spurred by this handling of the pandemic, has been at odds with legislative leaders on the best way to encourage school districts to return students to the classrooms. So, yeah. California can order schools to return to in-person instruction, but state officials can't offer a lot of money to those that do. So,
Come on, you want that, huh? Yeah. So it's more of an incentive to draw people into doing it. And I mean, I don't know, this sounds kind of crazy to me, but when I was looking at how it was written, like you'd be able to get like some financing for opening up to second grade at least. So at a bare minimum, you perhaps could just do kindergarten, first grade, second grade. I don't know if you've heard about this stuff, but like there's some data showing that young children are it's not as dangerous or contagious, or I'm not exactly sure what the data is there.
Yeah. I'm not sure either, but from what I remember reading, like, yeah, it's like very, it's not as dangerous for little kids, like, and even, kids that are 16 and younger or 15 and younger are not getting the vaccination. So I think it's, just different. The science is different. Okay. It has to be. And, but yeah, so this is, a step in the right direction, along with all sorts of things that are happening with, the expediting of vaccines happening. All the teachers right now are top tier, right? So they're all getting vaccinated. They could all be vaccinated, by the middle of next month, if not, the end of this month. So yeah, things are looking up. And on the subject of teachers and education, we had the new gentleman that was sworn in officially, right, to be the new by the Senate, Miguel Cardona, as the education secretary. And he was started as a teacher, became a principal in a public school, and just really rose up in the ranks. Now he gets to be a secretary of education, Latino. So that I'm happy about this. It seems like he's a good fit. And you know what? A pile of dog crap would be better than Betsy DeVos. So I'm just really excited that we're
good upgrade.
We have a pro public schools, and an upright kind of guy that's leading it. Maybe there's some other stuff to him that's not so good, but that's something some
silver lining at a minimum.
Sector. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we actually have some more heartwarming news, which is not very common. This one's coming from the Voice of OC. After a public outcry over secrecy County of Orange changes approach, says it will start publicizing all planned COVID contracts before approval. So apparently, since coronavirus has happened, there's been some emergency power given to the county, allowing them to, in secret, pass a bunch of contracts that relate to fighting COVID, right? But I mean, it has been already a year, and basically, I guess the story has been that ever since this has been going on, the Voice of OC has been doing public records requests to the county to get the information, because the county, the staff or the supervisors are getting this information. The executive management of the county they're approving these things. They all have the information, right? It wasn't being released to the public because of the emergency measures. But now it is really funny. There's like some shade being cast here from Andrew Doe against the Voice of OC, because and he's gotten a lot of blowback for this, but his initial response to this was kind of very dismissive. Like, he's complaining that they've been issuing too many requests and too many public records requests, and then he called the Voice by a news agency, which he called ignorant, and the noise of OC. Yeah, I wonder who he's talking about.
The noise of OC.
Yeah, the noise of OC, apparently. But there's been backlash from the press community, and other board members have come out saying, "Oh no, we're for transparency." They've decided to just release, or at least make these contracts that they're passing part of public announcements or agendas, so that people can see them. I mean, they're still executing them as they wish, but at least they're making it public. So kind of a funny story of some drama here between Voice of OC and Andrew Doe.
Yeah, Andrew Doe's like, these guys are like, just overwhelming me with all these public requests of things that should have already been public. What's going on here? It's like stupid Andrew Doe. But hey, the voters voted for him, and he's been doing these kinds of things for a while now. So I just goes back to the thing. Why do we keep electing these people that are not accountable to the people? Because, people pick their sides, or their gangs, the blues or the reds. And so that's kind of how it goes. And they don't really look at, the details about, like, are these people really doing their jobs? And who could do it better? But tied to that, I got into a Instagram war, because I'm not on Facebook.
Oh, no.
No, I didn't get into a war. But I did, like, somebody commented on the article about it, that's saying that, can you promote restaurants and small businesses instead of your misleading headings? Voice of OC, you are not the Voice of OC. And which I responded, they are an investigative online news source, Karen, and which got many likes. It got like the most likes. I'm pretty sure it's one of the most greatest clapbacks in the history. Many people have told me. So yeah. You have good words. Thank you. I am the best. I have the best words. All right. I missed that impression. That's the only reason I'm bringing it back.
No, we never get to hear from the guy. God bless us.
But, and God bless the Voice of OC for continuing, to uphold the standards of investigative journalism. It's
indeed.
Who else but them? Although I will say, shout out to a friend of the show, Gustavo Arellano, has been, really hitting it on all sides. Articles on the Atlantic, LA Times. So yeah, it's not ending.
Yeah, the struggle continues no matter
accountability.
What the org.
Yeah. All right. And last top story for our segue into our, or as a segue into
segue story.
Segue story. How to fix democracy? Move beyond the two-party system, experts say. So this is a great analysis, I believe, or opinion piece. What is it? Hold on. It's an analysis in the business section of the Washington Post by Christopher Ingraham. So, and this was from today. A record number of Americans say Democrats and Republicans are doing such a poor job. Third party is needed, polling shows. Dissatisfaction with two-party politics is an all-time high. New Gallup polling shows with 62% of Americans saying Democrat and Republicans are doing such a poor job of representing their constituents that a third party is needed. But zero-sum, winner-take-all dynamics of U.S. elections make it nearly impossible for third parties to gain electoral traction, despite survey data that shows fully half of the Americans do not identify with any party and label themselves independents. This was underscored this past week in the CPAC, where former President Trump ruled out creating a third party to promote his brand of nationalist conservatism. So yeah, it is the two-party trap. Is the current system is the current system is something of a historical accident. Lee Drutman says in his book Breaking the Two-Party System, doom loop, the breaking the two-party doom loop. It is an unintended consequence of the simple majority election method in which votes for third parties are effectively wasted. Given only two viable options, all voters must align themselves with one vision, which makes it hard to register their ambivalences, he writes. And there's plenty of ambivalence to go around. Pew Research Center surveys have measured at least 9 distinct political typologies in the United States, for instance, while a Gallup survey shows that fewer than 4 in 10 people believe that the two major parties do an adequate job of representing the American people. So, and this professor from UC Davis says that contends that there's effectively 3 major political divisions at work in the United States. There's a Democratic Republican, of course, which splits the country roughly 50-50. Then there's a capitalist socialist, which pits people on the far left, such as Bernie Sanders, far left, who has called for wholesale overhaul of the economic system, versus virtually everybody else, left or right. So yeah, this article is a great one, and like I can't read it all to y'all, but I encourage people to read and read this in general, and read this book in particular, read this article in particular. But yeah, it kind of talks about how we're having to negotiate with terrorists, literally, not as the saying goes, don't negotiate with terrorists, but we're having to negotiate with people that say that this election was rigged, that Trump actually won, and that there's space lasers that Jewish folks have that caused the wildfire.
Rothschilds, actually.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the true thing that's happening. Okay, yeah.
It's insane that that we're having to deal with this overwhelmingly extreme anti-system faction, but we are having to. And there's other countries such as Ireland, Germany, and New Zealand that have much more of a legislative process that allows for the need for working with folks not in the far right, but more in towards the center or progressive kind of values. So so yeah, there's a bill such as a Fair Representation Act that is looking to, fix some of these issues, minimize gerrymandering, and to have required districts be drawn by independent commissions, and allow voters to choose representatives in those districts using a ranked choice voting system. So, again, a really good article here, but I think Dylan has talked a good deal about this. Whether it's the third party system or a ranked choice voting, right? So
yeah, we're kind of locked into this based on the rules that typically the United States is winner take all. And another thing that this talks about is simply changing it to a proportional representation, where parties gain seats proportional to the number of votes they received in the election, rather than say there's a 60-40 split, 60% Democrats. All the 40% of the Republicans get no representation effectively. But in a proportional system, say you'd have 2 Republicans and 3 Democrats, because it was a 60-40 split. And at least you have, let's say, the minority voices are heard, right? So you could actually have a Green Party, you could have libertarians, you could have peace and freedom and whatever else party. You could get one person, and that's enough to start something, right? But the way the rules are, it's can't do it, and no political incentive to change it for the existing legislatures and stuff. So
correct. So as it stands, we have a party where you have Joe Manchin, or you know, and as the party like the Democratic Party, we have Joe Manchin on one end, and you have Bernie Sanders and the squad and other folks on the other. And how could they be part of the same party where they really are almost like very much in different places, and particularly economically speaking. So, you know, this is the situation we find ourselves in. Bernie found himself needing to become, you know, a caucus with the Democrats, but also run as Democrats to become viable in, you know, in the two-party duopoly. But you know, he went back to being independent because that's ultimately what he is. But all to say that a lot of folks are actually more aligned with the independence that Bernie Sanders has, as opposed to, you know, drinking the Kool-Aid of either, you know, the Democrats or the Republicans. And with that, I want to bring onto the show, friend of the show, a longtime comrade, as I lovingly call him, and he calls me, although I'm not sure if he calls me lovingly. Maybe it's sarcastically. Just kidding. It's a lot of love for this boy here, a man, boy, Timothy Cotran. Welcome to the show, Timothy Cotran. Go ahead. Timothy Cotran is an organizer with Revolution Orange County and former Bernie 2020 OC victory captain. Timothy worked for the 2020 Bernie Sanders campaign in Nevada and is also co-founder and executive board member of Feel the Burn Democratic Club of Orange County.
Thanks for having me. How you guys doing?
Grand.
Great.
Stellar. Superb even. Yeah, man. So thanks for being on. It's been too long since I've seen you, but I know the last time we seen each other, we were revolutioning for Bernie, you know, or at least one of the last times. You know, early on, you were very much involved as, like you said, a victory captain, you know, in helping him win, and even more so than was expected in congressional districts 39 and 46. And so, yeah, man, we did a great job with that. But then you also went to Nevada, right? So how was that working with, you know, you worked in Orange County, but you also worked in Nevada. It's like, what was the similarities or differences in the ways that folks organized?
Well, you know, the strategy in Nevada was a bit different. They hired paid canvassers in the Las Vegas area and Whitney and a few other places, and so that was cool to kind of close the gap. And so the job was basically just to knock on doors all day long, and you know, because that's part of the most important work. You know, it's just going door to door and having those one-on-one conversations, telling your story and why you support the campaign. And yeah, it was probably one of the best experiences of my life. You know, I'd always dreamed of working for the Bernie campaign, and I didn't care what it was. It could have been the janitor, you know, so, but it turns out that it was probably the most fulfilling experience ever. And yeah, I mean, it was different in the way that, you know, like I said, the paid canvassers, but in Orange County, obviously it was a lot of grassroots volunteerism and that, but obviously in Nevada, that was everywhere as well. It's just, I happened to work a job where it was strictly paid canvassing.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, I always say, like, there's Bernie Sanders changed my life personally, but I couldn't think of anybody whose life was changed more than yours, as far as maybe, you know, just the things in your life without, you know, I mean, as far as politically, you know, perhaps it gave you a reason to vote, as the poster said, you know, and just a reason to believe that we can and should, you know, and like nobody, I feel, was more committed to the Bernie Sanders campaign and to the movement like you were from 2016 to 2020. So I mean, what about him in particular, like, you think, you know, was what captivated you that perhaps, you know, captivated other people that would not have been involved in the political process otherwise?
You know, I can't explain it, you know, with a lot of people. You know, I was turned on to Senator Sanders through, I think maybe my brother might have sent me a link, and he was just a passive supporter, really. And just, you know, the spot I was in my life, I had just become self-employed pretty recently, and I was just had a little bit more time being self-employed to be able to kind of, like, you know, skip out and go to a Bernie rally. And I went to the rally in LA, and I remember live streaming it. And it was just, I had never seen anything like it. You know, people from just every part of every community that you could think of and just the energy and what he was talking about, things that I didn't really think about before. I just was really completely tuned out, like a lot of people. And I was feeling the burn pretty quick after that, and I just wanted to just help this man become president. And I really believed in what he was talking about, and it really did change my life in a lot of ways for the better. It just not only in politically, but personally, like with just a lot of the issues that we're fighting for. It makes you really think about the most vulnerable, and how you can help someone you don't know, like you would yourself. So yeah, thanks. I mean, sure, Bernie definitely did change some things for me.
Right. And so, I was a part of the Bernie campaign in 2016, although I didn't know you. We became friends shortly after. I was like, who's this white guy? Very opinionated and controversial white guy with like a cool hairdo and, just flat, like charming smile. Yeah. And the suit. Yeah. Can't forget the suit. A well-dressed individual, just saying all these, things about, just the movement and revolution and this and that. So, that was hard, but not nearly as hard as it was, at least it was hard losing in 2016. And then to me, not nearly as hard as it was losing in 2020. I was much more emotionally involved. Of course, I personally worked in the campaign here in Orange County. I was one of the co-directors out here. And so it was different, but one of the good things that came out of the Bernie movement in 2016 was Our Revolution, right? Which was a political action committee that was formed, following to kind of continue on the legacy or the mission or the vision of Bernie and the movement, and this whole not me us contingency of folks, young people, older folks, progressives from all ages and different ethnicities, and genders and whatnot, were able to coalesce around principles that bound them together and then got them prepared towards 2020. So, I perhaps if you could talk about that, like what was your early involvement and because with Our Revolution in 2016 to now.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like when Bernie ran the first time, Our Revolution, he started Our Revolution, to do the work, but a lot of it was the main purpose of the organization was to gear up to help Bernie become president. And so, really that's the main reason why I wanted to get involved with Our Revolution to begin with. And I just basically was like, okay, well, what do we do? Like, what's the thing to do to help Bernie in this way? So I just was kind of going through the motions, and all I knew is that we needed to start Our Revolution chapter in Orange County, and we needed to build up community around the Bernie movement in OC, and just make sure that when it came time that we had boots on the ground, folks from all over Orange County, from every community to help the campaign. And man, it was just a beautiful thing to be part of something like that, and to see it kind of come to fruition, and to see you come in, you did an amazing job on the campaign and for your community, and Emmett Jensen and Victor Valadares and Jenny Lynn, and just all the folks that were already kind of in the community organizing and being activists, get onto the campaign and then win Orange County for Bernie. So it was just a beautiful thing to see and to be part of. And Our Revolution is now, now that the Bernie campaigns have come and gone, like they say, campaigns end, revolutions endure. And now it's all about just continuing to work and holding Biden accountable. We got a 4-point plan. I'm sure you're going to ask me some questions, so I'll let you run the show.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to the next logical thing. I mean, what happens to this Bernie movement? It's still going. There's still so much movement behind this the ideas that he was talking about. Do you think some of it split off, or like Was there like a wing of like the like super leftists that were supporting Bernie as a practical thing, but jumped away, or like how do you see the scene transforming after?
Yeah, I mean, Bernie hasn't gone anywhere. He's still a very strong voice for the movement, and especially now that he's like, the Senate Budget Committee chair, and he's got the powers that he has. And people talk about how Bernie plays chess, and he does what he can to get what he can get done with what's available and what he's able to get. And yeah, maybe he didn't become president, but he's in a really good spot. And we've built a lot of power in government with, electing the squad and continuing to elect all of these progressives. And we're just slowly building power. And, it's a little slow for some people, but I'm really excited about where we're at. And I feel like we have a lot of room to continue just building power and getting a lot of these issues to become a reality.
Yeah, I can definitely see him being the budget chair as being helpful on certain issues. I was wondering about that a little bit because I was kind of thinking they'd push back on that a bit more. But do you know anything about that, or is it just something about the rules of seniority in the party that they're like, well, it's in the rules. Bernie has the seniority now. I'm not sure if you know more about that.
Well, yeah, like when Trump was president, they used reconciliation through the budget committee to give $2 trillion in tax breaks to billionaires. And so, there's a lot of big stuff that can be done, obviously, through reconciliation. And, it's just a matter of strategically doing it. I mean, I will admit that that's not something that I'm an expert on when it comes down to how that all works with reconciliation. But I just know that there's a lot of room to get a lot of our stuff implemented.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up because it kind of goes to one of the stories the last few weeks about the fight for 15 and the Senate parliamentarian who kind of judged that putting the $15 minimum wage increase into the coronavirus bill, she judged that as not complying with the reconciliation. Her reasoning being that it doesn't directly affect the budget. Therefore, under the Byrd rule, it would be excluded from a reconciliation bill.
It's just the worst look ever to be the person that's like, oh no, like you don't even have the say to say it, and you're pretending like you do, like as if there's no power there. Like you're just saying like, I think Kamala can probably just push it through, or I don't know exactly how it works, but there's no say there. Like, so it's just a bad look in general to try and stand up and say, oh no, we're not going to help you in a pandemic to raise your wages. When, I mean, it's looking like we're still going to be able to push that along.
Yeah.
So,
on that, I was reading a little bit about it, and I watched the Hills, video about it today, and basically saying how when the Republicans had a parliamentarian that didn't agree with what they were trying to do, I believe it was a tax, the tax bill or something, they got rid of him. They got rid of the parliamentarian, and they got somebody else that was able to do it. In this case, perhaps we don't want to get rid of that person, but we do want to overrule them because this is a very important subject. We're not talking about like, let's just let's just give them some it's like we're not asking for dessert. We're asking for more than a meager ration than American families are supposed to live on. And $15, which is was going to be played out, or was supposed to be played out over 4 years, not immediately, to give like businesses the chance to be able to just work it in accordingly. But even still, it just shows already what a lot of cynics on the left were saying. Like the Democrats are going to cave on this, and it just shows that the Biden administration is not going to go to the mat on this issue, where it's shown that 70% or more of the American people are in favor of this, and it just seems like they are already caving. I mean, and to Biden's credit, I want to say that he's already done probably more progressive things than Obama did when he came in the first 100 days, but still, like, this one was a very no-brainer, and he really ran on it. And similar to the $2,000 stimulus bills, like where he then lowered it it just seems like, come on, man. Come on, man. No, we got you in there for a reason. But how are we able to push the envelope on this issue?
Yeah, I feel similar feelings about the actions, and there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of stuff that folks aren't happy about, and really, it's just all about putting pressure and getting involved with organizations like Our Revolution to do the work to try and hold Biden accountable. I mean, we want to make Biden the most, if we can, we want to push him to become the most progressive president since FDR, and a lot of people don't think we can do it. But I mean, the whole point is like, we have to try, and organize. And when we organize, we win. And we've seen it time and time again with these campaigns, like from, we can go on about the progressives and local races, even in Orange County, that have been winning. There's been a pretty big amount of progressives that have won their races, and a lot of these different issues are moving forward. And so when it comes to Biden, it's just, when you can plug into a group that has the tools, like, okay, so how do we do this? There's the different campaigns that we run with signing petitions or phone banking or whatever it may be. Just get plugged into your local group and, just start doing the work, because it's going to take, it's not just going to take like 20, 50 people to make calls or do whatever it is. It's going to take, thousands and millions of us to come together. And, like other countries do, when France or other countries, there's an issue, like the whole country floods the street, like 90%. You just see like tens of thousands of people like, okay, we don't like this. We're going to flood the streets until it's changed. And so we just got to get a little bit more like that. And we're definitely in a different reality here with our government and the way things work. But it's all about just pressure campaigns and pushing and holding these folks accountable.
Oh yeah, big time. You're right. I mean, even if Bernie had won, the struggle continues, regardless of what the outcome was there. And the struggle is continuing here in different ways. And maybe one thing I'd like to bring up is maybe some of these Biden nominations, in particular the Neera Tanden nomination for the, I guess that would be a budget position. So this has caused some kind of a drama, right? Because Neera Tanden is not known to be a friend of, say, Bernie Sanders. You've probably seen the Twitter war, but that's become a main piece of the conversation. But I think what's kind of left out is that Neera Tanden is like very conservative, or like a very blue dog. Like she wanted to basically propose cut Social Security and a bunch of different things. Biden wants her. But we're not really hearing a lot, I feel, out of the progressives against this nomination. I was wondering what you
I'm hearing a lot. I mean, yeah, people are raising hell about it. The majority of progressives don't think that would be a good fit. And I mean, it's looking shaky at this point. I'm not sure. I mean, she might make it through, but from what I can tell, it looks like she might not. I think there's enough opposition against it to where they might go with someone else.
Yeah, but I find it strange because it seems like the opposition's coming from Republicans and Joe Manchin rather than for the progressives.
Really? Joe Manchin was against her?
Yeah, but he also cited that she doesn't have the right temperament and the nasty tweets kind of thing. It's not about policy. It's about this kind of appearance of I don't know, what's the right word? Code of conduct style stuff. Yep. If you're nasty on Twitter, that's worse than wanting to cut Social Security. So
yeah, I would hardly believe that Joe Manchin cares that she was nasty towards Bernie. So I'm just wondering who in particular he was, but yeah, no, and also the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which is one of the most problematic lobbyist groups in the country, is all in on her. And so, that always, raises red flags. Like, well, the Chamber of Commerce in different cities. I mean, I could think of Anaheim is the worst entity because it very much bankrolls a lot of the worst of, pro-corporate, and anti-community type of legislations and policies that hurts, the working class and middle class, right? So, But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And, and Bernie's still on the fence from what I've read and seen on her nomination.
He had some hard questions, but it was unclear of the position, right?
Yeah, I would say I was surprised at how easy Bernie was going on her, to be honest with you. I mean, it felt like he was just trying to be a little too fair and forgiving, which is great, to be forgiving. But I mean, obviously she's not an advocate for our issues. She doesn't support a lot of what we stand for. So yeah, I wholeheartedly disagree with her getting nominated.
Oh yeah. And I just one last quick thing about one other story I saw relating to this is
oh no, Dylan, are you there?
Oh.
No, Dylan. He's just like,
oh, that's funny.
It's like reminds me of the South Park episode where Cartman like freezes in order to get out of class. He's like, oh yes, Miss. Okay. But yeah, moving on. Dylan will be on shortly, I'm sure. Oh, there he is. He's back.
Oh, okay. That's the last time I'm disconnecting because I don't think the show will go on for another hour. But yeah, can I go back to my question here? I don't know if you guys. Just that AOC was criticizing Manchin over apparent targeting of Biden's nominees of color, and so this relates to that Neera Tanden thing because it just seems weird. Like I'd rather hear AOC kind of saying Neera Tanden's not a good nominee rather than I mean, yeah, it's obvious. Like Manchin's disingenuous or whatever. Like it's a bad argument he's making, but I mean the overall thing is maybe we shouldn't get Neera Tanden. And I'm just afraid of like the Democrats playing too close to the playbook, the Democratic playbook. And like, I want to like, how do we like keep them accountable without just like trying to blow them up? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we make sure they're checking in with us and being like, you're doing the right thing, right?
Yeah, I think it's super important not to blow them up. I think that, although I disagree with many of the same things that most of us disagree with some of the moves that are made, we don't, like Nina Turner said it best a few times recently in some different shows she did on the Humanist Report and so on about, we don't necessarily know exactly what's going on in there. And I feel like also people kind of they feel like the squad and such has more power than I think they understand that they do. There's certain like things that in order to survive in this environment, that they have to do that look to us that are just like, well, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that? But as I get older and a little wiser, I'm understanding more that because I used to I'd see some stuff and be like, oh man, they're sellouts. But now I kind of, just from learning from the moves that Bernie makes and also, the squad and so on, that I don't necessarily always understand why these moves are made. And yeah, it'd be great to be able to, always be able to sit down and have a conversation with these folks about, hey, why'd you do that? And then figure it out. But, they can't always necessarily publicly explain why some of these moves are being made too. So, and I'm not sitting here making excuses. I'm just trying to, understand or, realize that I don't necessarily know exactly what's going on. And so all I do know is that these are champions of Medicare for all. They're pushing for raising wages for workers, the Green New Deal, and all the things that we support. And there are only allies in government that are pushing for these things, whether people think they are or not. I think people who say that, they're not doing anything I can't even, it's just like, it's kind of an insult to just the tireless work that these folks are doing. I mean, and our movement too, that elected these people, like blood, sweat, and tears, donating last dollars, all this stuff over the last 4 or 5 years has been, a miracle in this country so far to me, like with the progress that we're making. And I get, there's a lot of communities that are like, I don't see progress. And that's true. Like there's progress that some people aren't seeing because they're in circumstances that they're not getting touched by it. And so I would just say that we just have to keep on organizing and continuing to push and bringing our people together, and just having some faith that if we do that, we're gonna get these things done.
Yeah, true. I mean, that's good advice. We should keep organizing, regardless of who we disagree with. And I mean, I kind of think it as, if you don't burn your bridges, you never know in the work that you do one day, maybe that person you wanted to burn the bridge with could be an ally, because maybe they weren't totally sold out. I mean, maybe they gave here and there, but if it's on a place that you can win later, I mean, maybe it's worth keeping the bridge intact.
100%.
Yeah, you bring up a lot of good points, and allude to a lot of things, and we definitely, I don't want it to be that kind of show, where we, debate or beat a dead horse. We've Dylan and I have had a very heated conversations around just how much to to be okay with with the level of of unknowing about the inner dynamics of what's going on, and whether it's a holding feet to the fire and so on and so forth. But it is a choice that everybody has to make. But I think like, regardless of what choice you make, that the number one thing is you got to organize. You got to continue to build a movement that can ultimately get more AOCs and more of these people into these positions of power, so that they can have more say and power into these things. And not to say like, oh, you should be like the Green Party. It's like, no, like their style of politics is toxic. It gave way to Trump. Like, that's not necessarily the way to go, but also being able to just not being so quick to burn bridges, and especially with allies, because I know that in the Bernie movement, and I many folks could have seen it coming after Bernie, and he's more than likely not going to run again in 4 years. So then, like, what happens to the Bernie? He is, yeah, he's gonna. I mean, if Trump can, he can too, right? But in the likelihood that he does not, then like, what does the Bernie Sanders movement focus itself on? And so some folks are saying, like, after Bernie lost, like, screw it, F it, like, they look at what they did to us on Super Tuesday, like, look at what Biden is doing, right? And just looking at it from a cynical viewpoint, saying like, F the party, we need a third party movement. And even saying like, whatever with Nina Turner, she's a Democrat and she's upholding and legitimizing this like terrible Democratic Party, like and instead of focusing on the policies that she's championing and upholding, and what it would mean to have somebody like Nina Turner be a senator, right? But there's people like yourself that chose to engage, right? The Dem Exit versus Dem Enter. And so you were one of the co-founders of a Field of Burn Democratic Club here in Orange County, right? Which seeks to wield some kind of power within the structure, or within, the Democratic Party, and also bring progressives together to say like, hey, we have a voice and you should be respected within the Democratic Party structure, right? So with that, like, I guess what I'm trying to ask or to say is that, you've chosen to still engage with the Democratic Party, but also you've chosen to work, not be completely tied to the Democratic Party, and work on issue specific, organizing. And that in many ways is what our revolution is trying to do nationally, on statewide, and on the local level, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, the whole point of Bernie running, I mean, was not only to transform the country, but also to transform the Democratic Party. I mean, that's part of the whole movement. And so, not everybody wants to subscribe to that part, and that's okay. But, with our revolution specifically, that's one of the four, we have a 4-point plan to win, and one of them is to build a progressive party, meaning the Democratic Party. And, we're making huge strides, whether people see it or not, within the party, with the, electing delegates to, other leadership positions. We had a great run in the last election for the Democratic Party of Orange County, where we had a really, handful of solid progressives on the chair. And then, we kind of took a couple steps back there, but I mean, it's working. And, until there's some real campaign finance reform where this big money is out of the politics, and because the big money that's funding these campaigns are going to Democrats or Republicans. They're not going to any third parties. And that's just the system. So until we get campaign finance reform done, so that money isn't such big money, isn't funding just these two parties, and it's an even playing field, then we have to continue storming the party and continue to build power within the party. And then, you can think of it as, and I hate to compare it to this, but think of it to like, workers at a company unionizing and gaining power that way, and then getting the things that they want. It's kind of like how we are in the party. We're like the workers trying to get power. And then I would hope that at some point, when we gain enough power, that we could break the duopoly and have more than just two parties, where maybe through a dirty break, you look, that's a way to do it. I don't know exactly how it's going to end up happening, but there needs to be more than just two political parties in this country. No other major country on earth is really like that. The happier, more functioning societies, claim to be the greatest country on earth, but I can't agree with that. And people will say I'm not a proud American because, why don't you leave and all this other stuff. It's not even about that. It's about recognizing that we are the richest country on earth, but we're not the greatest. We're not being the greatest, and we're not doing the things that a lot of other countries that aren't considered great are already doing, like simple stuff, healthcare for all, education, have great wages, working, 4-hour work weeks, and things that are proven to make a better society. So I'll get off my soapbox, but yeah.
No, get on it, brother. But I will say that we are great in dropping bombs without congressional approval, as was shown recently with the bomb being dropped by Biden on Syria, and some folks saying like, "Oh, great, we got bombs before we got checks." That this is fantabulous.
Terrible.
Yeah,
Terrible.
It really is. But yeah. So our revolution. What is our revolution trying to do statewide, as far as trying to tilt the scale or do I know that I'm wearing my Kimberly Ellis shirt today.
Yeah.
And I don't know if folks ever saw this shirt. I'm taking it off. Woo!
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, no,
Crazy.
but not the shirt. My sweater. What did it say?
Move that hair. Wait, if
it's backwards.
if you don't have a chair at the table, bring a long chair, or is that?
Yeah.
Bring a folding chair. Yeah.
Bring a folding chair. There.
Shirley Chisholm quote.
Yeah. Who was the first woman? It was a black woman that ran for president many years ago. So folks were excited. I was excited. As and I was a delegate back then. This time around, I did not win, and so because a lot of what they called the labor and progressive folks, that were endorsed by the likes of Tom Daley and Lou Correa and others, were able to win. And so this was the kind of effort that took place. It's that they said, we want Rusty Hicks, and that's it. Period. End of story. And we're going to get as many delegates as we want to do this. So, but this time around, there's a new candidate, not Kimberly Ellis. It's Delane Easton, right? So, what are your thoughts about Delane, and what do you think are her chances to be able to beat Rusty Hicks on this in this chair race?
Delane is definitely would be a better fit for chair. She'd do a better job, in my opinion. There's something to say about the politics that are taking place right now, and it's not necessarily how we'd like to see it. I think that she would bring a little bit more inclusion into the party, a little bit more of just progressive activism, and not so much of a situation where you have a bunch of preset slates that are going to win because they're all backed by these elected officials. And but I will say that when the ADEM elections took place and the Progressive Delegates Network organized, they worked pretty hard. They had a lot of really good wins. So across the state, I feel like they had some great success. In some places, completely swept. Not so much here, but you have some wins and some losses. But yeah, I'm pretty much, what I can say is, in my opinion, and I think that we need to replace Rusty Hicks. And out of the candidates that are running, Delane has the best shot at winning. And luckily, she's, she fits, she qualifies as being able to support because of where she stands on a lot of issues that are important to us, like banning fracking money from the party, banning fossil fuel money, and Rusty isn't necessarily against that. So that was something that I remember back when we ran the first time, when I personally asked him if he, how he felt about fossil fuel money, and his answer was, I think we need to sit down and have a conversation about what money we're going to be willing to take and what money we're not going to be willing to take. And that was pretty much what he said. I'm paraphrasing, but that told me that he wasn't necessarily going to be standing up to ban fracking money from the party. So she's campaigning on banning that money from the fossil fuel industry, which is huge. And she's getting a lot of great endorsements. And speaking of an endorsement, the vote came out for our Revolution Orange County just yesterday, and we're proud to announce that we did endorse Lane Easton for California Democratic Party chair. And she's definitely something that I feel like will give us a better shot at more of an insurgence of progressivism into the party.
Oh yeah, struggle continues, inside and out. But yeah, we definitely need these kinds of movements going on, and I'm hoping. I mean, I've definitely seen a lot of our activist friends get involved in the Democratic Party, so I hope it looks like there's definitely a healthy community there of progressives.
Yeah. And so you said your 4-point plan to win. I'm reading it behind you, for our revolution. What is that again?
So yeah, the 4-point plan to win is holding Biden accountable. Just constantly making sure that we are holding him accountable to his campaign promises. The $15, all these different things. And right now we're working on a lot of things like calling on Biden to declare a climate emergency and things, to cancel student debt. He's only talking about 10,000. That's not going to do enough. Although it does forgive a lot of people's total debt, it still leaves a lot of more people out. And so progressives, the squad and such, are pushing for at least $50,000 in forgiveness. So we got all kinds of campaigns. You were talking about bombing Syria earlier. We got the campaign to call on Biden to stop endless wars.
There you go.
So we're doing. I'm going to say that a lot of progressives reluctantly voted for Biden, and many even volunteered for him, including myself, which I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear, because I was pretty anti-Biden for a long time, and for good reason. But I just took the lead from good old Bernie, and the progressive movement helped Biden cross the finish line, and we did it because of a lot of the things that Bernie was able to get. People were able to get concessions on, and so. Now that we helped get him elected, you better be sure that we're going to organize just as hard, if not harder, to hold him to all of the things that he promised. And we got Bernie and other folks in government that have our back, and vice versa. So we're working really hard to make sure that he does what he says he campaigned on. Other platform 4-point plan. You got to elect progressive champions. That's super important. You got Nina Turner running for Congress in Ohio. I think, the Field of Burn Democratic Club of Orange County gave her an endorsement. So hopefully they'll be able to organize some phone banks to help her out from afar. maybe raise some money. Obviously, our revolution is fully backing her, and it's just going to add another player to the squad. We have local candidates in Orange County that are running for some stuff. Gentleman by the name of Reverend William Moses Somerville's running for office. He announced at our last meeting. He didn't say specifically which race he's running in, but watch out for that race because that'll be another progressive member of the squad.
Dang.
And
boom, boom.
Moving forward on the plan, we got the fight for progressive policies. Obviously, just all the things that we're shooting for, which range from the $15 minimum wage to the climate emergency, all kinds of different actions that we're working on to hold Biden accountable. Actually to get the issues that we're fighting for implemented. And the last pillar is to build a progressive party. So our revolution is one of the few organizations that focuses on party building. And a lot of people are confused about whether our revolution members are Dem Exit or Dem Enter or all that drama. But I think it's pretty clear that our revolution has been all about transforming the party and party building and electing progressives into leadership positions in the party. So that's the 4-point plan, and we got a pretty strategic, setup. We're focusing on what we know we can accomplish, and I'm excited about 2021 and the continuing of the political revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds exciting. And also, it's important to note that there's different fronts, that y'all are, it's not just Biden, it's also, Congress, and it's also, the state kind of, fight for the chair, and also locally, I agree with you. I think I take the lead with Bernie on most things. I trust in his wisdom after 30 plus years of, being in the thick of things, that, I very much am happy that Trump is not in there anymore. Things have gone, way more calmer, but then that also worries me because, and worries a lot of people, right? Like, and everybody was like, everybody's going to go back to brunch, all the liberals and going to brunch. And I was like, hey, can we go to brunch? Like, brunch is delicious. Like,
that's nice.
Us, like, but then we can fight, like, after like we nurse the hangover, like Monday night, we're back at it. I mean, like, it's like we can understand that, like, it's been hell for the past 4 years for a lot of folks, whether it's Muslims with the with the travel ban or migrant children, with separation of their families, and not to say that Biden is still deporting people, which I saw that he's still like 20,000 people have been deported since Biden got elected, but different ways in which the child migrant thing has been taking place. But so it's like he was able to overturn a lot of the executive orders now, but very soon we will have the first major bill that Biden will have will pass, because it just passed the House, I believe, right? Is the the stimulus bill with no support from the Republicans. So the Republicans are doubling down. They're the party of Trump, and they're the party against giving any kind of relief to people and family. And even when it's been shown that this bill that will pass will be one of the in the last 30 years the top 5 most popular bills that Americans from both parties have supported. But the Republicans are saying, like, fuck polls and fuck my constituents who are struggling. We're gonna like double down on being this anti-Biden, similar to what they did with Obama, right? Just trying to just be the anti-party. But yeah, so we've come a long way, but we still have farther to go, right? We still have Lou Correa locally, who takes money from everyone and anyone that will give him money, whether it's the private insurance companies to fossil fuel and such. So, like we got our own fights, locally. And
yeah, and speaking of locally and Lou Ferrer specifically, and a handful of other members, one we're looking at this the PRO Act, which is a pro-union act, and I guess Lou at one point had supported it, but I think he's not signing on currently. So part of the local action that we're looking at, and I don't know how much I can say about this right now, but we're going to be putting pressure on these representatives to support the PRO Act to help workers unionize.
That's great. That's great. It's like Amazon workers right now are trying to unionize. Walmart recently was called out by Bernie Sanders. The Walton family for their strong. They've always been anti-union, but they're just not giving their employees the hours, and therefore us, the taxpayer, having to subsidize for their inability to pay them working wages, give them benefits. So it all comes back to us, right?
Well, speaking of Amazon workers and the whole holding Biden accountable thing, and it may not be a huge thing, but the pressure that was put on Biden regarding the Amazon workers and the whole thing, he actually came out and publicly spoke about being in support of these workers in Alabama and the Amazon workers. So, and our revolution played a big part in pressuring him to do that. I believe that it takes a lot of different organizations. Like Biden didn't get elected just because of one or two groups. It took a coalition of just a lot of different groups, and that's what we got to continue doing. Like, it's not just all about presidential election, and especially I won't say anything, but at the end of the day, it's going to take that same kind of everybody coming together and continuing to do that constantly, throughout 2021 and beyond, just to get the things that we need. So, I think Bernie woke a lot of people up, but not just Bernie, all the activists that were doing hard work for years and years and years that were part of that campaign. I mean, that was also what really inspired me. The people, all these people that were just so passionate and like working so hard for, volunteering and giving everything to help Bernie get elected. We just need that same passion and fire to continue supporting Bernie in a different way,
Yeah, absolutely. And supporting him as the chair of the
budget committee?
The budget committee, right? There's a lot of things that can be done there. I've thought about it, and I talked about it before on the show. Like, perhaps this was what was meant to be. Like, he probably has more power, or just the kind of power that he could wield the best in, as still being a part of the Senate, still being a part of Congress, but also being in this position that has wielded so much power in the ways that he really understands, which is being a policy and legislative wonk, and just being able to know how to, tweak and do amendments and do the things in the small ways that impacts us, working class and working families in big ways, even small things. Absolutely. All right, Timothy Cotran, which, by the way, I want to congratulate you. Last time you were on the show, you were Tim Johnson. So now you're formally known as, and congratulations on your wedding. You are now Timothy Cotran, and hello to your wonderful wife and, your beautiful life now, so I miss you. I miss, the good times we had. but yeah, no, I know that, you're, it's just a beautiful thing to find love and love and revolution. Cause you met her in the campaign, right?
Yeah, it was pretty magical. We met and about a week later, we were marching down the streets of Las Vegas with Bernie Sanders and like 500 people to the polls to go vote. It was like, I will chop it up when I come down there in a couple of weeks to visit. I'll tell you all about it.
Wonderful. So any
nice.
If you just give us websites, upcoming events, just final comments from you.
Yeah, our Revolution Orange County's monthly meeting is at the last Sunday of every month. I encourage everybody to check it out, get involved. Our Revolution National as an organization is doing this thing called a movement builder campaign, which we're trying to get as many $5 a month donors as possible. Everyone who's a member will get a membership card, a card carrying member of our revolution, and just getting as many $5 donors a month to start hiring organizers actually. So you might see pretty soon here organizers from our revolution getting hired to really start strategically organizing Orange County. We've done a great job up to now, but it'd be great to have some paid organizers from our revolution to really be able to focus more time on the work.
Yes, sir. And last thing, is that a marijuana plant behind you? Is that part of the?
Yeah,
part of the platform.
This is in Arizona. We're supporting marijuana legislation, legalized marijuana in Arizona and everywhere for that matter. But there's a specific one that's getting pretty close to getting weed legal for all Arizonans.
Yeah.
There we go.
Legalize.
Policy, baby.
So you want to join
no. Yeah. Legalizing and expunging and getting rid of and releasing folks that were in prison because of these things is very much something that I cared deeply about. Wonderful. Timothy Cotran, thank you so much for being on the show once again. You are a gentleman and a scholar and a comrade and a brother to me. So a lot of love and respect for you. So we thank you so much for being on the show once again.
Thanks for coming.
Brother, thanks for having me on. You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Peace.
Yeah.
We can do that. We can do the outro.
Shout out to Margaret Sharp, Lou Noble, Benjamin Vasquez, Churro Pancakes at La Santa y Tres Leches French Toast. No doubt. It was a pleasure working with you too, Margaret. Yeah, we got Sarmiento elected. You helped too. It was incredible. That's exactly the kind of not me, us, bottom up, like organizing locally, thinking nationally, and all these kinds of things that I feel is the spirit of the Bernie Sanders movement, that will, outlive him, no doubt. And so I'm in a moment where I feel very hopeless and cynical about a lot of things politically. These are the kinds of things, including the passion and the drive and the commitment that Timothy has, that allows me to think that, once I get out of the doldrums that I'm in, I will be sure to lend my services and my voice and my and my support in any in the ways that we can further all the the progressive policies and and the fight for a better world. What can hope, right?
Oh yeah, indeed. And maybe you got to take some time off. You can't burn out. Exactly. I mean, there's the Bernie burnout that may have happened. There's so much energy was needed, so much was required to make that campaign go and to reach so many people. That message that and someone last show came on and they asked Bernie what they should do, and he's like, run for office. He's just like,
that's right.
Get involved in, especially the local. His was a federal campaign, but it doesn't mean that one of the messages wasn't like, dude, like it's weird because he was a career politician, but it's like in the best sense possible. You know what I'm saying? Like he had other jobs when he was like going through college and stuff, but they were like very short odd jobs and stuff. But mainly he was doing politics, and he made his living, doing wonderful politics that represented working people and the vulnerable people in our society. That's a beautiful thing. So indeed.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Shout out to Donna Michelle Sabedo Nelson. Hello, Miss Andres Perez, and everybody that tuned in for the first time. Hopefully not the last time. Please like us, follow us, share this video, to all your progressive friends and and anybody really, because I think we talk some good sense here, and it's not exclusive to just our clique or our bubble. I listen to I listened to all of Trump's speech yesterday, not because I like the guy, but because I'm interested into hearing what the tone and the direction of the Republican Party. Because you got to know they say keep your friends close and your enemies closer, and so in that regard, we definitely have to keep abreast to all the things that are happening around us, even with people that we disagree with, and I would say especially with people that we disagree with. There's a lot of crappy crap that we have to stomach and just hold our nose to, but we have to. There's the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. Big cause, any cause is deemed,
Takes a village.
Deems applause. Yeah, and it truly takes a village, as good friend and co-host Brother Thompson here has always said. So new time, but same
content, same wacky content.
Wacky content. Politics and culture with a twist. Hopefully with a twist and it's a little whiskey and woo!
Now we're talking.
I want to thank Edgar Silva for being an awesome audio video engineer. Iron Lion Media, Iron Lion Studios. Give us if you want to get your podcast going, you can always hit us up. Yeah, and again, thank all the people that hold it down for us and still listen to us, and once again, thank Timothy Cotran for being on the show here tonight. So, yeah, we're gonna have some great shows coming up in the next coming weeks. So please tune in and follow us and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify and all the places that we already shared on the screen. So, from Dylan Thompson and Jose Gloria, and all of us here at It's Happening family, we are signing off.
It's happening.